Hi, I'm Nellie Kampmann with the Center for Reincarnation Studies. Recently, we were asked the question as to how you can identify people who are important to you in your past life as the people who are currently in your life. First of all, let me warn you that this isn't always something that you're always going to be able to do. Just because somebody was incarnated with you in a past life doesn't mean that they're currently incarnated with you now. They may have chosen to not incarnate with you in this life for whatever reasons they had, or they might not be in your life just yet, so you wouldn't even know them to be able to make that identification. And again, this is not an exact science regardless, so just don't get too wound up about it. Now, when I'm trying to make these identifications myself, two things I look at are my emotional reaction to them and behavioral patterns. On the first count, I'm sure you've all had this experience where you've met somebody and you had an instant, you know, your instant friends or instant enemies, and there's no logical reason for it. Chances are that in a past life, you either had a very close relationship with them or you had a very bad relationship with them, and it was so intense that you remember it to the point where you just, on site, you remember enough of the emotional content of your relationship that it's back. So just pay attention to that kind of thing. Secondly, I look for behavioral patterns. One example of this would be if you're dating somebody and you're really afraid that they're going to be unfaithful to you, you're just super jealous all the time, and that is not like you at all. And you've had past relationships where you've never had any problems like that, so it's not like you have some kind of history going on in the current life to make you fearful about that. You never felt this way about anybody else in the past. It's just this one person that seems to bring it out in you, and you don't know why. Well, it could be that, possibly in a past life you were in a very close relationship and they weren't faithful to you, and it not only caused you a lot of emotional pain, depending on your situation, it could have left you in a very bad financial situation, and that is just such a deep fear for you from that past life that, being around them now just brings that out again. Hopefully that is something that was resolved in your past life, but if not, you need to really get a handle on that and not let it affect you in this current one. That's another one of the pitfalls of knowing who was in your past life. Sometimes if you know what the problem was, it reminds you that, oh yeah, there was a problem, and you don't want to be reliving the past problems once you've already resolved them. So, just keep your mind on that. One of the other behavioral aspects you find is sometimes comes from the other person. One of the things we hear about fairly often is from people who say, well, my kid acts like he's my mother instead of the other way around. And, well, that could be very well that he was your mother in a past life. Sometimes when we get into these familial roles, it's really hard to break out of them, uh, feeling like, oh, yeah, I should still be mothering this person even though I'm not. So again, yeah, it's not definitive, but it's definitely something to keep your eye out for. Now, when it comes to people who know a bit about their own past lives, there are other things you can, well, it actually gives you a little more to play with, basically, because instead of just looking at it from the point of view of the people you know in this life, you could take a good hard look at the people in your past life and start analyzing that, and then compare it with people in your current life. Again, oh, well, actually, one big thing you want to look for is their personality type, especially if they had a very unusual personality, like if they were somebody who's just, just nutty, off the wall, always playing pranks and stuff like that. Not the kind of thing you tend to see in, most people. And you have a friend who's exactly like that, I'd be taking a good hard look at them and trying to see if there's any other patterns in their behavior and whatnot that match up with the person from the past life and see if maybe, yeah, they might be a match. And again, if you're looking at the overall behavioral patterns between you and your relationship, look at what happened between you and the person in the past life, especially if you don't feel like if you've been going loggerheads with them throughout this life and you don't feel like you have ever gotten the situation resolved. If you've had somebody in your life that's like this and it's only with this one person, again, there's a good chance that they might be the person that you had the issue with. And I think that's pretty much the basis of it. Like I said, just don't get too wound up trying to figure this out because you may or may not be able to. I've been looking at this one past life of mine for about 7 years now. I've identified a few people from it, but there's still quite a few people who were pretty important in my life, like some of my siblings and whatnot, and I have no idea who they were, if they're even in this live right now with me. Okay, well, that's about all I've got to say about the subject, but if you do have any other questions like that, please feel free to contact us over at reincarnationstudies.com, and we'll be happy to see if we can answer your question for you. Thank you.